thoughtful? Did you know there is a place on Earth that is guarded by an invisible wall? Long pause. A barrier that no living creature, not a bird, not a fish, and not even a human, is allowed to cross? Exhales sharply. It sounds unbelievable, right? But believe it or not, it's absolutely true. Today I'm taking you to a mysterious island where whispers. This invisible barrier, which we call the invisible line, isn't just a myth. It's nature's own border. It runs directly between the islands of Bali and Lombok in Indonesia. Even though these islands are incredibly close to each other, the creatures on either side live in two completely different worlds. It's as if an invisible wall keeps them apart. And for the animals native to these regions, crossing this line is simply impossible. Separated by a distance of just 35 kilometers, yet the wildlife on either side stays completely within its own territory. It's as if an invisible force guards this stretch of water, forbidding any creature from crossing over. You might be wondering, what exactly is this power? And why can't they cross this boundary? Let me break it down for you. It all starts right here between the islands of Bali and Lombok. On one side, you'll find a specific array of animals, birds, and marine life. But cross over to the other, and everything changes. You're greeted by a completely different world of species. The moment you step from Bali to Lombok, you'll realize that everything you've just seen has vanished, replaced by something entirely new. Yes, if you travel from Bali to Lombok, you've essentially you'll notice the entire ecosystem has shifted. And here is the most bizarre part of this mysterious boundary. It's only meant for humans. No animal, no fish, not even a single bird dares to cross it. You're probably wondering what is hidden within this short 35-kilometer gap that keeps the wildlife trapped on either side. To be honest, there's an invisible force behind this boundary. A silent guardian that has kept these two worlds apart, unknown to most. To uncover the mystery of this invisible wall, we need to travel 150 years back in time. How did it form? Why does it exist? And why is it so absolute? Let's take a journey into the past. 150 years ago, a British explorer named Alfred Russel Wallace, discovered this mysterious line. Little did he know that his discovery would one day shock the entire world. In fact, Wallace's own life was just as dramatic as his finding. Born into an ordinary family in England, Alfred had, since his childhood, been deeply interested in learning. However, his family's financial struggles forced him to drop out and join his father, who was a cartographer, a map maker. He had to set out on journeys with his father at a young age. But little did he know, this very decision would become the most pivotal moment of his life, and perhaps even for our world. He began exploring He started traveling to remote places, where he became deeply fascinated by the natural environment. He began collecting diverse species of plants, animals, and insects. Then, in 1854, while sailing his boat, he crossed that 35-kilometer stretch to reach the island of Lombok. And it was there, for the very first time, that he realized something. Something abnormal was happening. He encountered creatures he had never seen before. Komodo dragons, kangaroos, koalas. Such strange and exotic species. Where did they come from? Why were they completely absent from Bali or the neighboring islands? Wallace and his companions were utterly stunned. Here, for the first time, he noticed that a massive question loomed over him. Why did this island house such drastically different wildlife? He knew there had to be an invisible force at play, but the logic behind it remained elusive. The mystery consumed his thoughts, but the answer was still just out of reach. In the midst of this intense curiosity, Wallace was suddenly struck by a mysterious and severe illness that forced him to stay in one place to recover. And it was during those long hours of rest that a brilliant, groundbreaking idea first sparked in his mind regarding this mysterious line. This realization was the very first step toward making him a legend in the history of science. As Wallace lay there, caught between fever and exhaustion, a strange and profound thought crossed his mind. He realized that what he was witnessing was far from ordinary. The stark contrast between the wildlife of Bali and Lombok, the birds, the fish, the animals, couldn't be a coincidence. Some massive, unseen force was keeping them separated. But what could that force possibly be? Wallace's mind was racing with questions. Suddenly, three powerful questions took hold of his thoughts. He realized that what he was witnessing was far from ordinary. The stark contrast between the wildlife of Bali and Lombok, the birds, the fish, the animals, couldn't be a coincidence. Some massive, unseen force was keeping them separated. But what could that force possibly be? Wallace's mind was racing with questions. Suddenly, three powerful questions took hold of his thoughts. He compiled his findings into a revolutionary theory. Wallace proposed that long ago, Bali and Lombok were actually connected. In an era when our world looked completely different, the land masses of Asia and Australia were once joined together. But as the Earth's temperature began to rise, the sea level surged, and these two regions were split apart and became isolated. According to Wallace's theory, the wildlife on Bali originates from Asian roots, creatures like elephants, tigers, and many others. Meanwhile, the animals on Lombok belong to the Australian lineage, species like kangaroos, koalas, and the legendary Komodo dragons. It wasn't just a line on a map. It was a deep-seated biological divide created by the shifting of the Earth itself. These two worlds of animals never mingled because they were separated millions of years ago, when the continents drifted apart to form the islands and seas we see today. Wallace's theory didn't just explain the mysterious distribution of wildlife. It provided a groundbreaking perspective on the evolution of our planet itself. We completely transformed our understanding of the planet. Even though it took many years, thanks to modern science, we now know that our Earth has never been static. It is a dynamic, ever-changing planet where the continental plates are slowly shifting and drifting apart due to plate tectonics, and this process is still continuing today. But Wallace's work went one step further. He proved that it wasn't just the animals, the entire ecosystem, the water, the air, the soil, and the climate had diverged. This profound transformation isn't visible to the naked eye, but to those who study nature, the environment, and wildlife, this remains one of the most fascinating discoveries ever made. Can almost feel the presence of that invisible wall with their own hands. Wallace's realization was truly groundbreaking. His theory was so profound that it forced us to rethink everything we knew about our mysterious planet. Just think about it. How can a mere 35-kilometer gap hold such a massive permanent divide? That keeps the wildlife, the birds, and even the fish from crossing over? It's a reminder that nature holds secrets far greater than we can imagine. Barriers aren't always made of stone. Sometimes they are shaped by time and history itself. Alfred Russel Wallace opened our eyes to this invisible divide, a boundary that continues to guard two completely different worlds. So, the next time you look at a map, remember, the world is far more mysterious than it seems.